listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Getsmartr podcast. Today, we have a very special episode. We are going to be interviewing a giant in the industrial media sector. Here he is, folks, the podcaster, broadcaster, and fashion sensation we all know and love, Scott MacKenzie, MBA, founder and CEO of Industrial Talk Media, where industry meets the power of media. Welcome to the podcast, Scott.
Hey, thank you very much. Wow, what an intro.
I told you I was
I'm
going to
never
give
on
you a
this side
special
of the
one.
mic. I'm always on the other side. And I would imagine a lot of people who listen to your podcast know me. SMRP, baby. SMRP. You've seen me.
I know, yeah. We were all looking forward to that this year. Unfortunately, it had to be canceled. But yes, I know you listeners out there. I am going to tell you, a little bit more about Scott, and we're going to be talking about, some interesting industry trends, observations, that we've encountered over the year and that we expect. But yes, I think a lot of my listeners out there know who you are. I think we'll just go ahead and jump in. I
Oh,
want
why
to
not?
I do want to tell people though that, when Scott and I first met, one thing that I really respected about him is that, with everything that you've created, which we'll talk
Yeah,
more about that, in the episode, but you came from humble beginnings as a lathing contractor and a journeyman. You got your MBA, and now you focus all of your energy towards your purpose, which is to lead and educate people. You want to help people change their lives, build their futures in industrial and manufacturing
yeah.
sectors. And you work out there, you're an industry veteran, and you are an industrial workforce promoter. So thank you,
Well,
first of
thank you
all.
very much. I think we're in a renaissance. I think we're in a
I
renaissance
think we are
period.
too.
I think from a manufacturing, just from an industry perspective, I think we're at a renaissance. I think the technology, the innovation, the challenges that exist out there today, I mean, just sort of leads to the necessity to constantly just be at the forefront of educating and talking
Yep.
and collaborating, and because you don't have all the answers, you know.
Innovating and change. Yeah. So, I mean, you talk with a lot of people, Scott, and you gracefully give your platform to hundreds of
Mhm.
industrial professionals. I mean, hundreds. So I'd like to know over the past year, 6 months of your year, what are some of the topics that you find are trending that people are talking about?
You know what they are. Come on, you
Oh,
know
I
what they
do. I know, but I want to
are.
hear you say it.
Yeah, you know what they are. If I had a nickel every time somebody said AI, I'd
AI.
be rich. AI. How do
Jinx.
it just all of a sudden was a switch. It's like one day we didn't have it, and the next day we had it, and then all of a sudden it brings about the conversation of, well, how can I use it? What's the best way to be able
Yeah,
to leverage this technology? Blah blah blah.
yeah,
And I think that we're still just scratching the surface on how we can leverage that. There's just so much. There's so
yeah.
eyes up, big topic. And if we're connected, if we're a connected company, if we're a connected manufacturer, and we're trying to get all that data, that gold in the data, we need some way of being able to analyze the data. And of course, that's a AI, value proposition.
Machine learning, yeah.
It is.
Hmm.
It is. It just is, you know. And yes, it's way above my pay grade. Yes, I see some of the values that can. I think the biggest problem or challenge with AI is finding trusted individuals.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
you know,
because somebody's doing that interpretation,
yeah.
right? And bringing those insights.
Well, they're
Um,
hanging their shingles. They're saying, yeah, now we're AI professionals. You see it all the time.
mhm.
You see people out there talking, yeah, now we do AI. And me, and let's say I'm just Scott manufacturer. I'll and I see out on the internet, the World Wide Web, so telling me that I got to get engaged with AI. So I'm going to
Mhm.
figure this out along with all the other stuff that I have to do. I need somebody to help me along on this journey that I can trust, that I'm not wasting my time, money, or energy. That to
Right.
me is still, because it's still new. I mean,
Yes.
you can chirp out the hype all day long, but how do you make it real? Who do you
Yeah, I mean, and have actionable insights and have it make a difference. I mean, actually, it's interesting that you bring that up because that is
Yeah.
something that we as an organization that because we do industrial consulting and
Sure.
reliability and best practices, but our customers have been asking us to act as that unbiased third party to
Yeah.
help them vet a different vendors and help them make their decisions because our only skin in the game is that they get the best service and the best product.
It
So
puts a lot of pressure on your end just because
yeah.
the velocity at which all of this innovation is taking place, you have to keep current. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, it's trying to hold the tiger by its tail and trying to manage it. I think that that puts a lot of challenge on your end, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
So, somebody. I mean, I got to find somebody to help me.
Yeah, and I mean even the hardware, like
Yeah,
even the sensor manufacturers, I feel like every week or two there's something, some tweak that's being made and
yeah,
it's real spun up, isn't it?
it really is. And then they start talking about cybersecurity. Nobody likes talking about cybersecurity, but if you're connected,
Huge.
yeah, and if you're a connected business and you're saying I got to do it, you're connected. So you need to
Yeah.
have that conversation, and nobody likes to have
Yeah.
cybersecurity conversations. Just, but it's
Well, but you
biggie.
said, yeah, it's a risk management. It's risk
It is.
management,
It is.
on a huge
Yeah,
level. And bring together other minds. Who thought? I mean, well, it's been in
yeah.
digitalization and digital transformation's been around for decades, right? But
Yep.
who thought that we, the people on the ground, the maintenance and industrial engineering types, we're going to have to become partners with our IT, and
Yeah.
partners with, I mean, big time. Nobody wants to when you're doing a CMMS, although that's another important time too, as well, to get those stakeholders in a group to make decisions. But yeah, now more than ever.
But you know as well as I do, it's always going to be a people conversation. It's always
Yeah.
the technology is the technology, but it's always the people. That another challenge that individual or companies are dealing with is just this silver tsunami. These individuals that are leaving, that tribal knowledge that's leaving your organization that understood. Um, you got to figure out how to bridge that gap too. There's a lot
Yeah.
of challenges out there. Gosh,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
already overwhelmed.
No, I mean, but you make a good point. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's from every, it's coming from everywhere, right? It's
coming
coming
from everywhere.
from
Yeah,
your workforce. It's coming from the need to stay competitive, and a lot of folks are looking to the technology to help them do that. But in reality, there's so much of the foundational stuff that has to get done first, and there's so much of the people in the process that
blocking and
has
tackling.
blocking and tackling that
Yeah,
people are still struggling
still.
with, and they think either the system is gonna fix the CMMS is gonna fix my work management.
Yeah,
No, it's not. The
there is.
sensors are gonna fix my bad actors. No, they're not.
Yeah,
You know, um, it's peeling back the onion on that.
it, it is. They're looking for a silver bullet. The pain is
Yeah,
real, right, and I don't mean to be a downer, but it's a challenging time. But I still think it's a renaissance. I think that there are solutions and
yeah,
individuals and companies that are out there that have your best interest at heart, and I think that it's up to you to find them. I mean, you can you know have or listen to conversations like this, but I think the reality is that I think you just have to do it. Another area that I think has got to have some attention. I
what's that?
think because, and you guys do it well. So this is what life cycle engineering does as well. Is I hate to say it, but there's marketing and then there's attention, right?
Okay.
I'm a big fan of attention. So, you know, because of I think industry has to do a better job at creating that attention, creating that reality that these jobs are not dirty. They're cerebral. There's a lot of
Yeah.
value for careers that exist today if you enter into those high tech type of opportunities, which then addresses the challenge of, hey, where do I find the next technician? Well, if you create a business that has that forward thinking mindset, and in essence tells your story, and then you've got,
Mhm.
I think we just need to do a better job at that, because I think that there's a tremendous misconception that exists today.
Oh,
Scared to be ugly,
absolutely.
that type of stuff.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you step foot into, a plant today, it doesn't matter what industry really. I mean, you'd be amazed at the technology, at just the environment. I mean, we're way I think people still think we're in the Industrial Revolution.
Yes,
Do you know
yes,
what I think? I think people still think we're like, you know, back in the days with the dirt and the grime and the smoke,
yes.
you know? And it's like, no, manufacturing today is, or well, and where we want it to be. And to your point, where business leaders should be strategizing on, you know, what is my strategy for the next 5 years, and who are the people and what are the skills I need to be
Yeah.
able to reach that.
Yeah, and you need
Um,
to speak their language. It's just,
yeah.
no matter where you fall on this election that came up, the reality is that there's
Mhm.
plenty of opportunities to leverage media to your best advantage. Gone are the traditional media avenues. You need to put yourself out there. No matter how uncomfortable it might be. I'll be the first to admit it was uncomfortable for me. I did this out of the necessity.
What?
Yeah, out of the yeah, out of the necessity to try to open up opportunities. So I
Yeah.
started podcasting just because, well, that, and it opened up opportunities, because now you're creating a relationship. You're just taking your coffee table and you're just putting it in a digital type of format, and you're just having a conversation. And I've learned so much over the period of time. And then you just find your voice. You just have to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
no other way of, there's no magic pill. That's for doggone sure. Just do it. And then you feel all uncomfortable and you don't like listening to your voice, and been
No, just
there,
do
done
it.
that. Just, get over yourself.
Well, but I think you bring up an interesting point, about
Yeah.
reaching different audiences, no matter if you're on, a podcast episode, or if you're on, the front line on the floor,
Yeah.
doing you gotta be able to reach your audience.
They're listening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They're
Oh,
listening.
and they're watching too.
And they're
So
watching. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Yeah.
yeah.
Meet them.
Hmm.
Tell them.
I think that's it. I think it's giving I really like what you said about giving people, the opportunity. And I mean, especially disciplines like reliability engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a lot of requests for that. We get a lot of folks who are looking to become, reliability engineers, because I see them as such a strategic position of the future, or now. The future is now,
It is
right?
now. We've been on this journey for a long time. You look at just SMRP as, that would have been what, 34, 35
Yeah.
years ago? I
Yeah.
can't remember what this would have been. But the reality is that they've been talking about, you know, liability, asset management. How do we
Mhm.
effectively maintain, our business in a way that we can be more proactive? Whatever the jargon at the time was. They've been talking about this a long time. And the reality is, which just blows my mind, it it just still blows my mind, that we still have businesses that exist today when we have the solution, or the roadmap over here, that are still reactive,
Mhm.
still living a life that is just miserable. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. There's
No.
real solutions, real bottom line value. And I just, it blows me away that there's still the need.
Yes. Well, yes, and I mean, that's one of, you know, life cycle engineering. We do a lot of work with the government and the Department of
Yeah.
Defense, supporting our warfighters. But those are the folks that we want to help. We want get out of this cycle that does kind of put you, that does put you back a little bit to that industrial revolution, or at least makes you feel like you're not, it's not doing the right thing the right way. It's just not. And I agree with you. That's where the frustrations, I
Yes,
think,
and it's
are, and the
just
holding back.
it's the same thing. It's like, "Hey, I'm coming
Yeah.
in. We're gonna be doing this. We're gonna make this business more efficient." And then you're in the crosshairs. Then you have the naysayers, and then you have the individuals like, "I've been doing this for 45 years. I know
I'm
we're
not gonna
just the
change. Yeah.
same." Just come on. Just embrace it. How about me? That's high wine factor. Come on. Embrace it. Jeez.
Well,
Yeah.
I did want to talk about, you were just at a conference, which you
Yeah.
said, was very well attended, and
Yes.
just a big, huge conference.
Yeah.
What were some of the discussions, that you recall, or that stuck out to you, that you were having with folks there? Was it what we're talking about, or other?
Really, it's pretty overarching the same stuff. Now, this was a manufacturing. This is was FabTech, and FabTech is dealing with a lot of welding, automated
Mhm.
welding solutions, stamping, fabrication, uh, and then some. And it's acres and acres of companies that deliver these solutions, and they're high level tech. There's no doubt about it. And every single one is looking at how to leverage the technology going, how to how do I keep ahead of this monster
Yeah,
that is constantly pushing me for greater innovation, because the market is saying, I need it, I need this, I need that, I need this. And these vendors are pushing the envelope. I mean, this event, you get to kick the tires of these solutions. I mean, you get to see it in action. Look at this. If you're out on video, you get to see this. This this was being manufactured at the event, and what it is just parts that were being laser cut, and
uh-huh.
then they put it all together. They fit it together. Each part is individual, and then they put it all together. I can't take this apart. It's
That's cool.
multiple pieces. Yeah, it's like a 4D thing. They were
It,
producing it there. They were
it's an orb.
an orb, but
That's the coolest conference giveaway I've ever seen.
you know how it happened? I just wandered up and I said, "Hey, we need to get you on the podcast." And somebody
There
said,
you
"I need to get you on the podcast," and they said, "Hey, great, let's." And I said, "This is your bit," and I mean, it's big. Everything's big, right? And I said, "What the heck is that?" Well, we're laser cutting them, and we're putting it all together. I said, "Oh, you're doing it right then and there." Yes. Here, take this. Oh, took it. And I said I was excited. But they're talking about the same thing, AI. We're talking
Yeah,
about how do we train, the next generation of
yeah,
workforce?
the
What
new
do we do?
workforce, yeah.
How do we get involved in the communities? How do we get involved in these, technical colleges? What do we do? And again, it is a messaging it's a messaging challenge. You have to be proactive in doing that. Companies have to do that. You
Yeah,
and whether you like it or not, whether it's just has to happen. And the same thing when it becomes about asset management, reliability, all of the strategies around that, and pulling data off of that piece of equipment. When does it begin to start to show signs of wear, whatever it might be? You have to be proactive. You have to be out there. You have to be able to tell your story. I'm just saying,
yeah.
or you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle big time.
Creating those alliances,
Yeah,
reaching out to the create larger communities, not
yeah,
just within the walls of your operation.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to work anymore like that. You
It's
can't be
no,
insular.
no, you can't. And I think the market itself is clamoring for more information. I need more. I see it. I just it's buzzy out there that I get a sense, and you can be a part of the solution, or you can just sort of sit and stick your head in the ground, and you know look like
Yeah.
a dodo.
Well, I think that's a good segue, actually, to talk about
Dodo.
no, we could.
Like, oh, check it
But
out.
I'd rather talk about the Industry Creators Network that you're working on to showcase other
Yeah.
other content creators, but I think doing exactly what you're saying, creating alliances, creating, trying to get people to share that voice. And I mean, and be kind of
The
looks like
Spotify of industry.
the Spotify. Yeah, so I mean, so yeah, let's talk about
Yeah.
what is your vision.
Yeah, so
Um
here was the challenge. If I'm a manufacturer, if I'm a industry person and I wanna consume as much information as I possibly can, find the content that is gonna help me, improve my career or business or whatever it might be, or find those contacts that I need to reach out. LinkedIn, just, yeah, come on, LinkedIn, man, it's right there. Um, I had a hard time finding the the podcasts or the videos. We're so fragmented
Scattered.
everywhere, everywhere. I mean, it's just I can't find it, and I can't find the most relevant conversation to my need, whatever it might be. So this brainchild, it's still work in progress, is I have a platform. You have a podcast, stick it out on Industrial Talk. That's the sales pitch. Because if my purpose is to deliver as much industrial information as I possibly can to help industry succeed, then that's where I'm at. So that's
Mhm.
all a part of it. Just go there, but search for reliability, boom,
Yeah.
find people that are in it and have a grand time. Look, and again, it's such a um on demand. It's just it goes for webcasts. I don't
Mhm.
call them webinars. I don't like webinars. I call them webcasts. Tomato, tomatoes. You know how that is. There's webcasts, and it's the same thing. It's just an expansion of the
Yeah,
information. It's a little bit. It goes a little bit deeper than a podcast, right? But it's
right.
still there. It is. It's there. That is the purpose. That's what we need to do. That's why it's important for us to just sort of go out there, find it, get the information because I can't find anything.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be a big curated community where people can find the resources they need when they
Yeah,
need it.
yeah,
And
and the people.
and the
I
people. Yeah.
every single one will say, "Yeah, just contact me. Here, go there, contact me. I'll have a conversation." Okay,
Well, we know the
and then
We know Get Smarter and LCE is going to support your creators network, so we'll be on
smarter with
there.
an how do you spell smarter? I get smarter.
No E.
Yeah, that's right.
And our listeners know that. It's not a misspelling. It's
I know.
intentional. Um
I would have misspelled. I would have. I would have.
Oh,
My
yes.
God
Well,
is a funny has a funny sense of humor, putting me into the area that I have to speak, and then two write.
oh, no, that's
Yeah.
not.
Well, it's so funny because how many times have somebody contacted you and say, "Hey, Scott, can you? That was great. That was wonderful." They always start out with an email like that. Can you fill in the blanks, change the name to, or Mrs. misspelled, and it's throughout the whole thing, right? And it's like, oh,
Oh.
but anyway, I'll do it.
No, no, no. That's great. And actually, we, there is an intent behind there because nothing drives engineers more crazy than a process or something or a misspelling out of whack. And so we get your attention this way. Okay? Like we know our target audience.
That is
Let's
so
just
true.
get under your skin a little bit and then come get to know us and how we're going to make you better. And but there was also something to it, and this kind of ties into our conversation too.
Ah,
We wanted to focus on the idea of smart culture, right? So like you can have the industry 4.0, the smart technologies. You can harness all the AI you want, but if you don't have a culture, a work culture, an organizational culture, the people
ah,
side behind you, then none of those technologies are going to achieve the results that you want from them,
yeah,
right? That goes back kind of to what we're
yeah.
talking
No, you're absolutely spot on. It's always a human conversation, and And
Yeah.
again, if you're the grand poobah of your organization, you're going to have to sort of put yourself out there, and you're going to have to
Yeah.
be able to create that culture that you have to see it and feel it and do it. Or are all this wonderful innovation that is happening today, it's going to be suboptimal. It just will be, and you won't be able to
Yeah.
take advantage of all the wonderful bells and whistles.
Well, I mean, but you make a good point, right? It does. Cultures created and sustained at the top. And one of the things you were talking about earlier about, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to, go down this road, we're going to improve our OEE, or we're going to, put these sensors in, and none of our critical equipment's going to fail. And maybe that's some grassroots effort with some, maintenance manager, reliability engineer. But if they don't get support, if they don't have that leader that is saying, we are going to, this is
Yeah,
what we're going to do, this is the path we're going to take, it's it could die on the vine.
it is. It's hard to push rope uphill if you're.
It's hard to push up. Exactly.
Yeah, it has to come down from the top. You're absolutely spot on. And whatever humble pill, whatever it takes to make it happen, it's got to happen. I hear it all the time, and you lose credibility. You lose credibility if for whatever reason you're saying, "Hey, we're going to be our culture is going to be reliability. We're gonna push towards that. We're going to do everything we
Yeah.
can." And then you drop the ball on that, and you don't live those values as a leader.
Yeah.
The next time you try to do something like that, people just like, it only takes one shot. You got to live this stuff out. Think through it. Come on.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of,
Wow.
yet another good segue. How do you do this? How do you do
I'm
this?
a professional podcaster. I
um,
really
well, you've done this. You've held leadership positions
yeah.
in the past, and um just given your mission, you're out there, you're available to coach and mentor, other leaders today. So I would ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. I would ask you to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about right then and give some advice to upcoming leaders in industry and manufacturing. I know two you've already said, just do it. Put yourself out there. And then, what other advice, would you give?
I always break it down into three. First, you got to educate. Find it, do it, educate, consume it. Whatever it is necessary for you to be able to educate, uh, make it happen. So education is key because it's happening and it's happening fast, whatever that looks
Yeah.
like. You need your strategy and all that, but educate. I think the real linchpin to all of this, and it can't be, you can't circumvent it. I think you need to collaborate. I think a lot of these conversations and a lot of this innovation that exists out there today demands that you collaborate with leaders in those areas so that you don't have all the answers. You might think you do, but I guarantee you don't. It's always great to be on this side of the mic when I'm interviewing individuals, and then I recognize that, I didn't know that. Yeah, but I'm glad I met you. I'm glad I'm having this conversation. So once again, education, collaboration, and I don't think you can get around given the challenges in the market. I think you need to really aggressively innovate in a way that makes sense. So, if it requires automation, you automate. If you're having difficulty, if cobot it, I don't care. But I think that you cannot get around that. But I think at the center of this is that collaboration. And there are plenty. I mean, there's plenty of, and finding those trusted individuals to collaborate with, I think it's huge. Don't blow that off.
Yeah,
You
no, I
you
think
sort of
that
falls in.
no, I think our listeners really gonna appreciate that. And
Yeah.
with the innovation, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the resistance to change. And I mean, if you're talking innovation, that's what you're saying, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
saying you have to push yourself to be resilient enough to to try new things, to
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I'll use SpaceX as an example. If anybody, if there's some company that innovates, yeah, SpaceX, yeah,
Yeah.
they're right at the top. They're right at the peak, and yet the reason they're doing what they're doing is because they never say no. They always say, "Let's innovate. Let's figure it out. Here's a challenge. Let's figure out the most. Let's just do it and fail." And they fail, but they do it, and then it brings about what SpaceX is today. It's phenomenal. You know what else
Hmm.
is sort of spectacular about SpaceX is that they're cool. So their capsule is cool, their display is cool, it's all user friendly. And so change is going to happen, and it's up to you to innovate, and it can be done. If you're concerned about failure or failing or feeling that pain of failure, well, yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But the reality is, one, you got to innovate, and it's out there. Ah, cool stuff.
Well, yeah, and if you're collaborating,
Yeah,
right, then you
yeah,
can then you can it.
yeah.
Or
Take it
on
to
the tough things, the things like you don't want to, like you said earlier, like cybersecurity. Nobody really wants to think about that or deal with that,
yeah,
but
but you know what's happening in the world of cybersecurity. They know that it's an awful nobody. I'd rather have a root canal than talk about cybersecurity, but it's necessary, right? So the market itself is making it so painless. It's getting to the point where
right.
it's really painless. So you can have a high trust level, that your assets, your business is well protected because the market itself is saying, "Hey, nobody likes to have this conversation, but we need to protect these businesses. So let's try to come up with a solution." I, I just think it's they know, so it's great. I don't have to have that in depth conversations about sockets and whatever IPS address, and I don't want to have that. Uh,
Right. No, there's the expertise out there.
yes, yes,
It is interesting too because we life cycle engineering, we have a cyber arm,
uh-huh.
but it's primarily with our federal services, right? So the commercial side,
Mm.
yeah, I know. It's real. It's out there, especially when you
It
think
is.
about utilities, energy production, like come on. We
Yeah,
wake
yeah,
up.
you do, and I think they're getting there. I think that
Yeah.
think it's undeniable. And again, back to the Renaissance. I think we're in a Renaissance. I think people are finally getting it. I think there's an energy and an excitement that exists within industry. And I just say industry, it's manufacturing, it's oil and gas, it's all of that, but in industry. And I think that I wish I was younger just because I would love to be able to be a part of this juggernaut of opportunity. Juggernaut.
Well, and I want to, focus on that for a little bit because I do think that, when we talk about, and I've presented on this before in a couple of conferences that, the what do you call it, the silver tsunami.
Yeah.
The silver tsunami. Yeah, we get it. There's a lot of expertise, a lot of experience and subject matter expertise that, it has done their service, right?
Yeah.
They've
Yeah. But they come
served.
back as consultants.
And that, well, that's true.
They're
Yeah.
like a rubber biscuit.
Yeah. Well, always wanting to give back. But that is also an exciting time for the Renaissance. It's an exciting time for new opportunities and for a new workforce to kind of take the robotics, take the AI, take it all by the horns and just excel,
No.
and bring
Yeah.
us into that
It is. It's exciting.
Renaissance.
Yeah.
I
I
think it's hopeful.
it
I
is.
agree
It's
with you.
very hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy as human beings. We start to sort of, oh, woe is me. And look at this is not going the way I need to go. But you got to look at the other side of that coin. And that is an optimistic conversation. It's a optimistic reality that's existing today. And I mean, it's just cool stuff. You just
Yeah.
got to do it.
You just got to do it. So, if I could summarize, okay, if I if I didn't have my little AI companion here, to help me summarize the transcript of the podcast,
I wish
I'm
they'd
just gonna do
spell
it.
better.
I'm just gonna do it on my own, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna say, Scott from Scott MacKenzie, just do it. You got to put yourself out there. Um, Educate, collaborate, innovate. You gonna have t-shirts for that at the next conference? You might need to have t-shirts for that. Um,
Yeah, I like that. I will.
I
Yes,
think you should, with industrial talk on
there it
there.
is.
And then
Okay. Oh, there it is.
did
There
I
it is.
get to give you an idea?
Note to self,
All
T-shirt.
right. Well, if you'd make them, I get one.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't say no. So there you go. Don't say no.
Yeah.
And make it cool, right? Make
Yeah,
it cool.
because it is cool.
It
Come
is
on,
cool.
maybe is it me just because I'm sort of drinking my own Kool-Aid, but when they start talking about all of the opportunities and the technologies and the
Yeah.
individuals that are just leading, groundbreaking ideas, I geek out on that stuff. It's like, really? You could do that now? Yeah. Oh, really? It's so yeah, make it cool. Make it cool.
Make it cool. Work
Yeah.
smarter, not harder. But I do think the future is pretty darn bright.
It is.
Um,
Oh, it really is. Oh,
yeah.
we're having a love fest here. This is just it's great to be a part of industry. It really
Well,
is.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so what we'll have to do is, if you'd like, I really appreciate, thank you so much for joining me today and for willing to be
I
on that side of the mic, you know.
That's
But we'd
cool.
love to have you back next year where we could talk about if we were way over our heads of, positivity, or if we were right that no, people just get out there, just do it.
Just do
Um,
it. Tell
yeah,
your story.
yeah,
Feel uncomfortable. Go have a cup of coffee. I don't care. Just do it.
just do it.
Yeah, come on.
Well, and so again, everyone, listeners, thank you for joining us today too. And Scott, I'm forever grateful. If you want to know more about industrial talk, and you want to go and you want to visit and you want to see what Scott's got going on, we're going to put the industrialtalk.com link in our session notes. We'll have a couple of other resources. So take a look at the episode summary and the notes for that. And if you want to know more about what we were talking about today, reach out to me. Come to lce.com. You can probably find Scott on that LinkedIn too. But Industrial Talk is like his home. So thanks again, Scott. Any last words for the audience?
No, I'm an open book. Come on, reach out. The water's nice and warm and toasty.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
All right. Sounds good. So until next time, listeners, let's stay smarter, people.